Hi, welcome everyone. Tonight, I have the pleasure of having one of the members of and one of the wonderful ladies of PoundcakeProverbs with me this evening, Ms. Melissa Moore. We just wanted to go ahead and have some questions that were laid out that audience might be thinking about, or that they might be like, you know what, I might want to hear a little bit more about this. So, could you start with introducing yourself to wonderful audience?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Melissa. I am one of the members of Pound Cake Proverbs. Um, I was, I've been involved with it since the start and really got drawn to it at the suggestion of my friend, who's like one of the founders as well too, and just having an outlet to really talk about where I was relationship wise and in womanhood at that point in time. And I really enjoyed the concept that she came up with, and I was 100% down. So from there, it just kind of took off, and we've been through like a lot of ups and downs, but I've really enjoyed being a part of the group and just seeing how everything has grown since we first started. So,
That's awesome. I won't lie to you. Like I've listened to a couple things here and there because I was like, I gotta prepare for this. So, what allowed y'all to come together? I was like, this is what we're gonna do.
so it really came about to talk about our experiences dealing with men and relationships in our early to mid 20s and doing it in a fun and playful way that allowed for us to really be able to just like be no holds bar and speak whatever was on our mind, because we use monikers, or we use aliases when we do all the stories. And it actually, Pound Cake Proverbs started off as a blog that was really all the trending, social media, or like, social phase at the time. And so it started off as a blog, and it really allowed for us, a lot of us who had, some type of writing background, again, to just kind of be able to talk about our experiences and talk about them freely, and even just like make a game out of having friends and even some family members try to figure out, okay, is this so and so, or like, no, this is a story about you, and like, just have fun in, kind of really talking about our womanhood. And that's how everything got started. And like I said, it just kind of has taken off from there, and we've really been able to evolve and try to grow with all of the different trends. So
That's awesome. Um, Goes to my next question. How important is it to have socially and culturally relevant content for your audience, as some people are experiencing isolation due to COVID-19?
yeah, that was something. In addition, the podcast started, before the pandemic started, but it's something that really strengthened after the pandemic, because having and talking about things that were relevant. We particularly had two episodes where we talked about mental health, and we talked about mental health like in like a very general sense, and dealing with things like depression and things like that. And then we had that same conversation, and it shifted to kind of the anxiety that we were feeling in the midst of this like global pandemic. And it's something that I don't want to say we struggled, but pulling from when we were talking about our own experiences to, like you said, trying to make sure that the information that we were talking about was timely and that it was timeless, and things that people could relate to outside of what we had originally started with. Um, it was a challenge, but it was something that we really rose to the occasion on. And I think that we found that it's really important, because I don't want to say people's minds are fleeting, but there's so much stimulus, especially now that we're home and inside. And so trying to capture people's attention in a really relevant and catchy, for lack of a better word, way, is really, really important and has been important to us, and something that we've tried to do in every one of the episodes that we've recorded so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked through the topics myself. Y'all, if y'all have not checked out Pound Cake Proverbs, I highly, highly, highly suggest it. Um, it's things that no matter what stage you are in your life, you can find something that's totally applicable and that's relatable for you and can be shown to anybody at any age.
Right.
Um, are there any standout comments or feedbacks from your podcast that someone has said, like, you know what? Thanks for having this platform where I can identify myself in these topics?
You know what? It kind of ties back into a comment that you just made about being at any stage in life. Most of us are in our late 20s, early 30s now. But one of the members shared comments that some of their students had about our podcast and saying, if you're a Black girl, you need to be listening to this. It like just captures everything, from every different angle about what a Black girl could be going through. And this is somebody who is like, at the very least, 6+ years our junior. And like, that was something that was really, for me personally, something that stood out, because just like, okay, like, it's not just us and people our age, people who are younger than us are able to connect, and just kind of speaks to, like you said, finding relevance in some of the things that we're talking about, and that it really does not matter what stage in life you're in. You're going to deal with, you know, struggles with your mental health. You're going to deal with struggles with men. You're going to deal with struggles with communicating and things like that. And so that was really a standout comment for me. Just seeing somebody who's much younger, who you feel like, sometimes I'll be feeling like I'm not hip and not like with it. And so seeing that was really cool. And like I said, just kind of stood out about what we're doing, and made it worth it.
Absolutely. Um, seeing it from a male's perspective, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, let me listen to this. Let me, get my understanding. I mean, granted, y'all, I'm married, but it doesn't mean that you can't hear from different perspectives from different, because it's of equal value, if not sometimes more valuable. Like, oh, this is what she was really thinking. Okay, I missed that. I misread that.
Yeah. And
You
especially,
know, quite
yeah.
helpful. You were saying, especially.
No, I was saying, especially, I feel like with some of the stuff that we've talked about, things that some of us have dealt with, single, etc., like, it definitely holds, I feel like, a different weight when you are married. And we need to hear that feedback from people who are married. So
I'm open anytime y'all would like to have me on.
okay, I'm gonna work that out. I'm gonna work
Put
that
it
out.
out there.
We need to get your perspective on the show for sure.
No problem. I think you talked about this a little bit, but can you give me a little bit more in terms of like what is the process for preparing for your podcast as a team?
As a team, yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it. We, try to make sure that we, again, pick a topic that is timely, that we have enough starter questions to like really get us going and be able to have a conversation. And a lot of times we really don't even need a lot, because of how varying our opinions are and how much we have to say. Somebody can say something in response to the topic, and then next thing you know, we got like 8 or 9 different like ways that can go down. So we do that as well, and try to make sure that we're tying things into our origin with the blog. And we do something called a slice of pound cake, where we pull out a quote, more often from a Black woman, and kind of just give our thoughts on that. And we always try to, again, just like tie it into the topic that we have at hand. So it's a lot of brainstorming, a lot of like scrapping, and we've been in meetings for like hours where we're just like brain dump and kind of like, going through it and figuring out what stuff is relevant not only to us but again to our audience, and making sure that we are comfortable and most importantly feel connected and feel that the information that we're talking about is important. So that's just a little bit into our process. Like I said, we have a whole outline that we work off of, but we really just kind of let some things just kind of flow. And that's something that's really been a joy to see, just us really coming up with stuff creatively in the moment.
That's awesome. From my perspective, the things that I've already seen in terms of your podcast and little things I've been able to listen to, I really applaud and appreciate how much woman empowerment and support and accountability and intentionality that you have behind each segment that y'all produce in terms of your content. I really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure, people who have been able to listen to it and people who are going to listen to it are going to be very blessed by that. So I want to definitely say that and give kudos to your whole team. Love what y'all are doing. Please keep doing the work, because it is.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it like just, you know, sometimes the times and the hours that we spent, it's nice to know and see and hear that that is also being conveyed in what we do. So thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Um, are there any future topics that is okay to divulge into? I don't want to give too much of your creative juices or
Right.
creativity play that you're okay with sharing that might be for future topics going into the new year or closing out the 2020 year.
You know what? Like, I gotta keep the stuff, a little under wraps because we gotta
Right.
protect creativity, but definitely, especially with the crazy year that we've had, there's a lot. I would say that there's a lot that we can reflect on that'll definitely be topics of conversation in upcoming podcast episodes, and really like looking at this whole year with renewed energy. So look at a lot of reflection and, just just a lot of reflection and being able to just like look on the past and look towards a better future for us. And that's a lot about what we're going to be talking about.
Okay. Thank you for the transparency and honesty. I put you on the hot seat a little bit. I don't want to put you. I just want to put you on the hot seat just a little bit.
Trying to have me divulge all the secrets and everything, like
Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You can't give the whole recipe away, but if you can let me know how it cooks a little bit.
exactly.
So, which ways can our male viewers or listeners gain insight from listening to your podcast?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, but a good one. Um, I really think that there is a lot of good insight into what it means on a day-to-day basis to be a Black woman, how we move through things like relationships, sex, politics, mental health. And I honestly feel like it's good insight to build better connection. Because that's, a lot of what Pound Cake's proverb came out of was some of the stories that we have were good, but just kind of some of our like ups and downs in connecting with men. And I think that as we have gotten older and we have moved through womanhood, I feel like the podcast is a really good insight for men to just better understand us and better understand how we're not all the same, but we struggle and deal with a lot of the same things. And I really do think it can foster a much better connection with the Black woman in your life, whether it be familial, platonic, or romantic. So that's really what it boils down to.
Well, on behalf of the males, we want to extend our gratitude for providing. Like, because if I had $1 or a quarter every single time I've heard, you don't really understand me, do you? So thank you. I really do appreciate that. I want to say it on behalf of the male. We appreciate that insight that y'all are willingly giving to us.
Yes, like we're trying to put y'all on game so y'all can, get better with the women in your life. So
And that's important.
it is, and it's important for us as well too, so that we can have healthy outlets and on our end too, have better and healthier relationships with the men in our lives as well too. So this is a mutually beneficial situation.
Well, thank you for that. How important is it for people, especially women, to have a multifaceted and also multicultural perspective in terms of experience from the knowledge that you provide in your podcast?
Yeah. I really think that, again, just coming from the perspective of Black women and, just having that perspective alone, I can remember vividly one of like the earlier podcasts we had, and we were talking about relationships, and there was like a particular question where we were talking about, dating and dating outside your race and things like that. And I think that I would not be able to have that same conversation on a podcast that was not comprised of women who look like me and have experienced life in the way that I do. And I think that Black women, really, I want to say we have a lot of hurt and pain, and not in like a very like negative way, just in, we bear the brunt of a lot in society. And looking at things from that lens, I think really it helps us, and it'll help our audience and other people who are listening to us to just really understand. There's a lot of talk on social media, particularly when it comes up to like elections, and like Black women will save us and Black women will do this. And, we get put up on a pedestal sometimes and then like trashed in the same breath. And so really getting inside look into how we really feel from our own mouths is, it's the most valuable thing and one of the most important things I think that comes out of the podcast.
Well, I'll thank you for that response. I want to say that from everything I've heard, your team is royalty. I want to just call y'all queens, but y'all royalty.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the fact that y'all put so many controversial and so many things that really take a lot of time to dive into in terms of not only content, knowledge, and experience, but also things that people are like, wow, that really is something that happens. Yes, it does. We appreciate all that you all do. Thank you from us guys to y'all. We appreciate y'all. We really do. I think you talked about your developing process for the content. So I will move to my last question. Because we talked about that a little bit before the show began, but just so our audience can get a little bit more insight, can you speak to the importance of self-care where so many people feel like they have to be so much?
Yes, we had a whole very emotionally charged episode about this exact thing, about caring for oneself, especially when you are pulled in so many different directions. And in a time where, like you said, you feel like you have to be everything to everybody. And especially moving into your 30s. And I feel like a lot of people say, oh, you're gonna like everything's just gonna like start clicking and X, Y, and Z, and you still struggle with caring for the number one person. And so a little bit of what we talked about in that podcast was about boundaries and being confident and standing in the boundaries that you put for yourself. And I bring up that part of self-care because I think it's the most difficult part. We can talk about all of the, rituals and things that are important to go through, having dinner by yourself or, like taking a bubble bath, what have you. But I think something that kind of came about in that podcast and the conversation even we had leading up to it is about like the difficult parts of caring for yourself and in turn allowing for other people to respect and just kind of care for you as well. So I think it's a lot in the boundaries and just really prioritizing yourself. And it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing in practice, but that's the whole point, is that it is a practice. It's something that always goes on and it's not linear. Your progress is not linear in that respect. Sometimes you're going to feel like you overextended yourself or what have you, but the point is to always be in practice of it. And, eventually it'll be something that just comes second nature. So,
I really thank you for that response. Just from a personal note, I know when I was getting married, it was like, yo, like y'all about to become one. And how much you're supposed to cleave and all the scriptures and different things and sayings that come about. And I don't know what it was, but I just sat across from my wife one night and I was like, you know what, babe? We need to maintain our individuality
yes.
while still making sure that we're being a compliment and access to one another. So, like, if you really want to go out with your girlfriend, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, it's needed. Like, you had friends before we were married, and I had friends before we were married.
Mm-hmm.
So, it shouldn't be looked at like, oh, I feel this guilt because I'm away from my partner right now.
Right.
It's like, hey, you know what? I did this. This was really cool. I got to spend time with my friends. I got to spend time doing something that's just for me.
Right.
And it's not looked at as like I'm subtracting
Yeah.
from us, but rather I'm adding and multiplying to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of this time that I'm getting to just not be husband, wife, mom, sister, auntie, business owner, entrepreneur. I'm just getting to just be in my own skin and my own flesh and just be me, do me, and just be calm, be
Yeah.
still.
Right,
I
right.
think that's something that's really like not at the forefront as much,
Mm-hmm.
but needs to be even highlighted as well.
It does. And like you said, you add to yourself when you allow for your energy to be renewed in ways that don't revolve around your relationship or, you know, acting out love languages and things like that. It just allows for you, when you guys do connect again, for you to be even better. And so, like you said, to not view that as like, oh, this person is staying away from me, or oh, this person is doing stuff without me and trying to, separate themselves from me, seeing it as, like you said, a way for you to just renew your energy to be an even better partner when you guys do connect again, because you get different energy and different just fulfillment from being around friends, being around family, doing things that you enjoy without your partner. And that fulfillment adds to the person that you are. And again, just compliments. And like I said, you become a better partner when you do stuff like that. So I 100% get that.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Melissa Moore. One of the wonderful members of the Pound Cake Proverbs. Um, we hope we can get the whole team together next time.
Yes.
Um, we
Yes.
appreciate, everybody making an effort to get onto this platform and want to even connect for this episode, for this time that we're currently in before we close out the 2020 year. Anything you want to leave to the audience or any information you want to have them check out,
Yes.
before we go?
For sure. So our blog, our website is www.poundcakeproverbs.com. So definitely check that out. You can find our podcasts. We have a Instagram called Pound Cake Proverbs, and we not only post IGTV clips and like snippets of the podcast, and you have a direct link to exactly where you can find the podcast, but we post questions and try to do Instagram lives and things like that where we kind of talk and interact with people. So definitely make sure that you check us out on there. And again, I just really want to thank you, Calvin, for allowing me and the rest of the team to be a part of a part of your show and just talk a little bit more about us. And we appreciate your support.
Thank you. I hope this is the first of many times to come. So at AIM, we believe that we are establishing the potential within. So let's start it with you. We thank you and the team again for allowing to have this connection be a starting point and hopefully of many great things to come for the upcoming year. Thank you again for your time. All right, everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon, depending on whichever time you get a chance to catch this video. All right, enjoy.